Hi, Katie Owens here. I'm a CNI specialist for special education with Round Lake area schools. I'm here with Ann Beninghof today, and we're discussing co-teaching and specially designed instruction, two topics on which she is an expert. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on this question today, Ann. The question is, in the co-taught classroom, the pacing concerns and expectations from both the general education teacher and the specialist can sometimes differ. Do you have any suggestions or thoughts on that?
Well, we want both teachers to be very involved, and we want the pacing to be what it should be for general ed classroom. We definitely don't want to be slowing way down. So when a general ed teacher is lecturing and the specialist is jumping in with extra examples or questions, sometimes that can cause some tension because it does take a few more seconds here and there. Every time I jump in, it might be an additional half a minute or something. And if you do that 2 or 3 times, before you know it, it adds up. So that concern is very legitimate. However, we find that we save time in other areas of our instruction. Collecting papers when there's 2 of you, that can go very quickly. Certain aspects of having 2 adults in a room and taking care of tasks like attendance, those kinds of things save a minute or 2 or 3 here and there. And so it balances out. So when I remember that, then I'm going to be less stressed about doing that jumping in and adding. But we also think that co-teachers should have courageous conversations about those kinds of concerns. So if the gen ed teacher is starting to get worried that we're falling behind, then let's just sit down and say, look, I'm worried about this. What can we do differently? And problem solve it. We don't have to hide that fear. And the solution might be, maybe you have a sign, a signal, like a peace signal, I'm going to jump in now. And the other one can kind of give a yes or a no, don't jump in because we're running out of time, or whatever it might be, right? You can use a variety of signals back and forth to make sure that you're helping students learn the material, not just hear it, but learn it without falling behind.
That's great. And I do have one follow-up question with that. How or in what ways do you think the general education teacher or the specialist could make sure both companies feel comfortable when being invited into the conversation in the classroom and a whole group?
Sure. So if the teachers being comfortable in having that conversation, is that what you're suggesting? Yeah, there are several things to do. First, I always want to sit side by side with my colleague when we're having those kind of more challenging conversations, because when you sit across, the research shows that sitting across from each other actually raises resistance and defensiveness, whereas side by side, it's a little more collaborative. And then having that one common piece of paper where we're taking notes, or a computer between us, keeps it as a triangle, so that the 3 pieces together, and that right there makes it feel so much more collaborative than as if we're separately doing our own thing. And then things like paraphrasing, of course, is so important, so that we understand we're really making sure, checking with each other, is this what I think you said, and so that we're getting that clarity before problem solving.
That's great. Super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.